You all saw that video that we just looked at. And Tamara looked really good, didn't she? But you want to know to Tamara how she looked? Probably terrible. Because when we look at ourselves, we are God's worst critics. Hey, we see every hair that's out of place and every movement that should have been corrected. We see everything. And we go, oh! And you know, all the other people around you, how much they saw of that whole process that you saw 300%? They saw 10%. They looked at you, and they looked at you, and they skipped all of the stuff that you saw and just enjoyed you. Okay? Now, I've been videoing myself now for about 2.5 years. And I was terrified the first time I did it. I mean, this is scary to actually have to look at yourself. Oh. And I thought back, I said, where did I start getting the idea that I could do these things, that I could add value? And where I really started looking at myself, and I started looking at the mind, and I said, it goes back, see, I'm also a CPA, and it goes back to Phoenix in the late 60s. And I got my first job from the CPA office when I went commercial. And I worked as finance director at a mental health group. And there were 40 psychiatrists, psychologists, and social worker, and one accountant. Well, you think you're abused, just have 40 wordsmiths in psychological terms picking on you because you pay them. And I learned, well, I didn't learn, I heard all these words, schizophrenic, manic depressive, paranoid, all of them. This kind of drug I need, that kind of drug I need. Man. And I said, boy, I can't handle this stuff. So I went home and I went down to the library and I got this big book. It says Psychology 101. And I read it. And then I got Psychology 102 and 103 and 104 and I just volumed this information into me. So what I could do is go back to them, and when they called me a word, I would have already classified them. So I survived. But what it did is it gave me an interest in the mind. I really got excited about, man, I got to know more about my mind. Why does it operate? How does it operate? How can I change things in my mind that I don't like? So, since that time, since the 70s, that'd be close to a half century now, I've been studying. And I've gotten tools to change things. One of the things I found out is just because you know something, it doesn't change it. Second thing I found out was that you can change stuff if you work at it and you learn different techniques. Well, one of the techniques, or one of the information things I learned, was unconscious activity. Sometimes they call it subconscious, sometimes they call it the back door, they call it a million things. But you got to get, you are a walking computer processor. Only 10 trillion times as complex. And you can program this. And you can program it comfortably. And one of the things you can program it is in doing speeches. And it's a very gentle way of having your unconscious or your subconscious learn. And that's by video. By running a video process. Now you got to walk back to the first statement I made, and it was, you're your worst critic. Okay? But I'm going to teach you a technique where you skip this. If you choose. You always have to choose this. I mean, a lot of people, it's more fun being a super critic. But if you don't enjoy that, what you do is you just watch it as background. You don't sit and focus on all the little stuff. You just watch as background. You might even be, you might have the thing sitting here and you're listening to it at the same time you're listening to TV. Now you can hear, your unconscious can hear about 15 conversations at the same time and pick out the one you want and hear that from the others. Okay? We all know that. But you heard all the others, and it processed. Well, doing the background for videos is absolutely awesome. I found that I never paid much attention to watching my videos. I would pay attention, I would cut and paste them, but I just sort of watched them. See, that person on TV is different from me. You got to get that. The person on the TV is not me. It's someone else that I notice that if I notice a little something that I say, oh, you shouldn't do that. And then all of a sudden, this other person that's not there that talks doesn't do it anymore. And I sort of broke the two apart. You got to get, we're a complex compound being with multiple personalities. We're Sybils that know all the other people. Okay? If everyone here saw the movie Sybil, where the person had 15 we all have that. You have different personality with everyone in your life. You are a different person with your kids and with your wife, or with your neighbor, or with your business partner. You're a totally different person. They're not, a lot different. Well, your video person is a different person. And what you do is you become that video person. Now, you see I'm using these cameras here, right? And I'm going to stop them now, and that'll be the end of my speech. Now we're going to go in, and we're going to go to the next phase, and that is what? Table topics. And what are we going to do with table topics? What we're going to do is an experiment that Hannah and I tried this afternoon, didn't we, Hannah?
Yeah, and it worked.
Yes! So we're going to do that next. And I want to thank you for my speech.